Well, it is in fact a Friday, and I mentioned during the week that I would explain more about why I was wearing a suit on camera that one day, and I've done a video now about that, so I'm not going to get too heavily into that here, but I'll tell you some little inside stuff that I didn't mention in the other videos. It was Wednesday. I went and saw the Supreme Court as they sat in a high school in Flint, and I was invited by the Institute for Justice to go because the Michigan Supreme Court occasionally takes their cases out on the road and holds hearings in places such as high schools, trying to get kids engaged in the legal system. So there were students from all over Genesee County there, packed auditorium, but they had arguments, and the Supreme Court justice came out, and they had the bailiff come out, oyez, and a whole shooting match. And I got to watch the oral arguments in the case of Maxon versus Long Lake Township. Fascinating case, and I have to tell you, and I mentioned this in the video I just shot, Michael Greenberg, the attorney for the Institute for Justice, was in top form. I've never seen arguments done that well before. I've seen a lot of oral arguments before the Supreme Court, state Supreme Court, courts of appeal. I've myself argued for the Court of Appeals in Michigan, and Michael Greenberg knocked it out of the park. I'm talking about over and out of the park, beyond the upper deck. Where that ball went, we don't know. It may never be found. It may have gone into low orbit. That's unbelievable. So we'll see what happens with that. And when we hear about that case coming down from the Supreme Court, I will, of course, do a video. A bunch of things I want to talk about that came up during the week, one of which was just yesterday. I mentioned the story about the fake attorney out of Africa, who the story is represented a couple dozen people and won all of his cases before he was revealed as being a fake attorney. Now he's been arrested. And I said, we don't know how much that story is actually true because the stories appear to be secondhand, thirdhand. And I've gotten emails now from people who know more about the story and said, Steve, that story is blown so far out of proportion. There's no way he handled that many cases in that short period of time, including on appeal, which is one of the things I thought was odd about it. But I also said, by the way, people don't say, oh, hey, Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio, Frank Abagnale. He was a fake attorney for a while, so it can't be that hard to do. You guys have got to understand something. Stop saying that, okay? The Frank Abagnale story is BS. It is horse manure this deep, okay? His story has been completely debunked. 99% of what he said was made up. He never passed the bar in Louisiana. He never acted as an assistant attorney general. He never acted as a doctor at a hospital. He never taught school as a professor. He made those stories up. And he wrote a book about them. He actually got some people to believe the stories. And then, of course, Steven Spielberg made a movie out of it. So now everyone assumes it's true because it's in a movie. It must be true. It's not true. So I had a guy actually say after I mentioned the video, it's not true. He goes, Steve, here's a video of Frank Abagnale speaking at Google. It's true. Because he spoke at Google, that makes it true? I didn't watch the video, but I suspect he's saying the same things that he said before, all of which have been debunked. So there you go. I have to tell people this, and I've mentioned this before, please don't bother sending me links to videos. I will get daily a couple dozen emails that say, Steve, check this out. It's just a link to a video. I can't tell by looking at the link what it is. I mean, I can tell it's a link to a video, but I don't have time to watch every video link that gets sent to me. And I'm leery of clicking on anything anyways. So if you send me a link to a story and it says, man in Florida gets in fight with drunken raccoon in dumpster while horrified ex-wife calls the police. If I can read that in a headline, at least I know, okay, that's what it's going to be about. Do I want to read that or not? But if you send me a link, hey, Steve, check this out, I don't know what it is. And in the past, I foolishly clicked on a few, and I'd start watching a video going, why am I watching? I don't even know why this was sent to me. And I've had someone go, oh, I just thought you'd find it interesting. Is it something I should do a video about? Oh, no, I just thought you'd enjoy it. I'm really sorry, but I haven't got time to respond to those. I haven't got time to watch them. So please don't be offended if you send me a link and I don't watch it. I will often write people back and say I don't watch links. And I've actually had people get mad at me then. Why not? Come on, I watch yours. No one said this is quid pro quo. Meanwhile, I have to say it again. Please do not mail things to my old addresses. People apparently who are too busy looking up my address on Google don't catch the fact that my address is on my homepage. It's in the end screen of every video I put up on my main channel. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's on my Vault channel. It says, here is my mailing address. People Google and find an address of mine that's 3 or 4 years old and mail stuff there. And I get a phone call once a month from somebody who goes, hey, Steve, there's more stuff of yours down here. Okay, next time I'm down that way, I'll pick it up. So I swung by my old office yesterday and picked up some stuff from August. I assume it can't be important because anybody who's sending me legal stuff would send it to the correct address. By the way, with the Michigan Bar Association, my address is also my P.O. Box in Atlas. So that's my current mailing address. I've actually asked somebody, why did you mail something to my old address? They go, I want to make sure you got it. I'm not there anymore. Well, Google says you are. Does Google tell us where we have to live? Do I have to go and move back into that office because Google said so? And I've also got to point out that there's a direct correlation here. I wear a double XL t-shirt. I was getting so many shirts sent me in the wrong size that I started putting at the end screen of every video on the main channel, Steve wears an XXL t-shirt right above mail stuff to this address with the P.O. Box. And invariably, when I'm told there's stuff for me at my old address, if there's a t-shirt there, it's often the wrong size. And I got one yesterday. It's the wrong size. Can't wear it. It's the wrong size. If it's the wrong size, mailed to the wrong address. Sorry. I wish I could, but that that horse has sailed a long time ago, my friends. I did the story where I was talking about how a guy in Georgia got a ticket, and the ticket said you can pay a fine of $1.4 million, or you can come to court and fight this. When he called the court to ask him, they said, well, you can pay the fine or come to court. And he said, 1.4 million? They said, oh, that's a mistake. Well, it made the news. And headlines often said, man has been fined $1.4 million for speeding in Atlanta, whatever. And I mentioned that this is a weird story. And I said, and they could probably program the computer to, because they said the number was a placeholder, to put in a placeholder other than $1.4 million, such as they could have put in XXXXX, or they could have put in C clerk. But I said also, computers don't fall from the sky fully formed. Computers are built by humans and they're programmed by humans. I said, but don't worry, I'll get some pushback on that. I did get some pushback on that. And I had a guy actually say, Steve does not know anything about computers. Zero. He knows nothing about computers. Never mind the fact there's one there, one there, one there. Two there, two over there. I'm within 10 feet of 4 computers. He knows zero about computers. You know why? He's forgotten, which implies that I knew it, that there was a time when RAM on a computer was extremely valuable, to the extent that they would routinely put in things such as 2-digit dates instead of all 4 for the year. Well, if you were around in 1998 and 99, you recall the Y2K scare, which was 23 years ago. And during Y2K, there was the fear that some computers were going to malfunction when they went from 99 to 00, thinking that 00 was before 99. Strangely, it didn't happen, at least not that bad. Planes didn't fall from the skies, nothing like that. But since that time, RAM has gotten remarkably affordable. And so this guy says, Steve Lehto knows nothing about computers because he forgot about that situation. These computers very well could have been programmed back then. Well, if that's true, you really think that it took 23 years for someone to get a speeding ticket as a super speeder in the state of Georgia? This is the first time it hit the news. And by the way, one of two things would have happened. Either this is the first time it took 23 years for a speeder to go that fast in Georgia, or this has happened thousands of times before but never made the news. Nobody ever thought, boy, $1.4 million, that's a crazy number. So here's the thing. If I tell you a story, and I'm reading a story to you, and I tell you all the facts of a story, and something pops into your head like that, stop for a split second and ask yourself, what do we know that we can probably presume is true? We can probably presume that this made the news because it is not a common occurrence. And if this was the first time it had happened, that would be very strange for it to be the first time in 23 years that someone is a super speeder in Georgia. That seems highly unlikely. So the idea that this was caused by them having such short amounts of RAM that they can only use so many digits to display the dollar value, that doesn't make much sense either. And so I had someone actually send me a note and say, Steve, I can tell you exactly what happened. He goes, the computer was told to put in all nines. I said, well, why didn't it show all nines? It showed 1.4 million. He goes, well, it was programmed to show all nines plus court costs, which would push it over $1 million. I go, if that was true, the court costs are $400,000. I've never heard of court costs being $400,000 in a speeding case. And he goes, oh, I don't know about that. So again, stop and think for just a split second, because what happens is a lot of people will see a story before it's even ended. They'll stop it and type in something, and a lot of times I'll even answer it in the story itself. But obviously the program did not say put in all nines because it didn't show all nines. And if it was all nines plus court costs, well, then it's not all nines. And why 1.4? Why not 1.3? Why not 1.2? If it's programmed to show all nines, it couldn't show anything but all nines. But it did. So there's a problem also. And then finally, I've got to tell you, and again, where does the time go? I don't know. I got contacted, I'm not going to say by what method, from somebody who said, Steve, I know what you and Google are doing to me. I said, what's that? He goes, you guys are keeping me off the internet. You guys are keeping me off the internet. And I said, me and Google are keeping you off the internet. And he goes, yes, and I'm not going to stand for it. And by the way, the guy was serious. Just trust me, the guy was serious. And I said, number one, it's not my capability to keep anybody off the internet. And number two, I know who Google is, but I'm not in cahoots with Google. I don't ever communicate with Google or YouTube in that sense, other than simply occasionally, as a YouTube creator, they'll send me a note. But even I understand that if I respond to their note, it just goes straight into some garbage someplace. I've never directly communicated, as far as I know, with a human at Google or YouTube. So I said, I have no idea what they're up to. I have no idea why they'd be trying to keep you off the internet. But they don't control the entire internet. They do, of course, have a big presence on the internet. Of course, their search engines are quite a popular thing. And YouTube is a popular destination. But there are other large swaths of the internet that have nothing to do with Google or YouTube or me. So I don't think that we'd be capable, even if we wanted to or tried, to keep you off the internet. And the guy literally went through 20 or 30 communications where he kept explaining to me how he could prove that Google and I are keeping him off the internet, and he's not going to stand for it. And so he has stopped communicating with me, which is good. I don't think he watches this channel, but I think he watches my main channel. So I think I'm okay to do that story here. But I do occasionally get some very, very strange things sent to me, mail, email, messages, and so on. And most of them are perfectly normal and harmless. Once in a while, somebody will say something to me that I think, I'm like, is that true? Is that real? Are you serious? But I think this guy is serious, that he thinks that Google and I are operating together to keep him off the internet. And just so you know, prior to his first contact with me, I had no idea who he was. Never heard of him. No idea. So, there you go. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.